Welcome to the International News Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Denis Stanicic. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yesterday, we covered the Taliban overtaking of the Republic of Afghanistan. We went into the history of Afghanistan, the current situation, and what the future could potentially hold. Now that things have calmed down in Kabul, and we should state the last 2 days have been extremely crazy and hectic and almost impossible to clearly report on. People were scared, people were frightened. Historically and politically, the situation was almost unprecedented and unforeseen. It was, to simply say, crazy. Things have calmed down today, and it's become much clearer and much easier to report on the situation in Kabul and to make an analysis and projections on what the future could hold for Afghanistan, the region, and as a result, the world. So, let's get into it. The first thing we should report is the Taliban held its first official press conference. This press conference was led by a man named Zabihullah Mujahid, who is an extremely elusive and shadowy figure. So elusive, in fact, that no one knows if that's actually his real name or an alias. Nonetheless, this man is the spokesperson of the Taliban. During this press conference, Zabihullah Mujahid stated three very important things. Number one, that any Afghanistanis that were working with the US-backed coalition or government would receive amnesty, and that the Taliban did not want to take out any revenge, aggression, execution, or any form of violence against these individuals. This was his statement. Now, on the other hand, it has been reported that many Taliban commanders, soldiers, and insurgents have lists full of names of individuals that did collaborate with the Western-led coalition and the Western-led government. Some have called these lists a hit list. Why would someone else have a name full of lists of people on it, right? To buy them presents? No, usually it's to take care of these people, not do pleasant things to them. Nonetheless, will these lists be used, or will Mujahid's promise of amnesty be fulfilled? We shall see. Secondly, Mujahid stated that the Taliban not only supports but encourages women to take part in studying and in the workplace. And finally, most importantly, to take part in the government. They are inviting women to be a part of the future government of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. To be fair, he mentioned that this would be in a different capacity and that women's roles in society would still follow Sharia law with respect to women's rights. What this means is extremely vague. It is extremely vague. Pretty much every statement that Mujahid made today was vague. And when reporters asked him for more comments or to go into details, he stated that everything would be in the scope of Islamic law and tradition. A final thing that Mujahid stated was that the Taliban insists and encourages that Afghanistan maintains and continues to have a private, independent, and free press. Free in the sense that it will be free from government, pressure, ideology, or influence. That being said, he did encourage the press to not work against Afghanistani national interest, traditions, or values. Again, going on to state that everything will be under the scope of Sharia law and Islamic tradition. Which the problem with this is that Sharia law and Islamic tradition are very complicated concepts that are debated and discussed amongst Islamic scholars, muftis, judges, philosophers. These are things that are not black and white. They are always up for debate, and it's not, oh, that's Islamic law. Go to page 12 of and section 32, article 21. That's not how it works. Interpretations differ. And everything that this man said today was very vague. But nonetheless, it was an attempt to convey a more moderate and sincere and modern Taliban for the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, which has been a common trend in the last few days. The Taliban has stated that they want a peaceful transition of power. They do not want to fight for the power. They want to smoothly and peacefully move in without bloodshed and create a better future for the people of Afghanistan. These words sound very sweet. So why are they sweet? This has been a force that has been fighting brutally for the last 20 years. Brutally in the sense that they fought valiantly, they fought like soldiers, and they fought like warriors. In some cases, they did commit things that in certain aspects could be considered war crimes, but nonetheless, they have completely turned the page and have began to act as a completely different, legitimate political entity. And many people ask, why is this? It's almost shocking and surprising, this brand new Taliban, this Teletubby Taliban, if you will. Another major development today has been of what is going to happen with the future of foreign aid to Afghanistan. Despite popular belief, the United States, even though it is the most major and largest contributor of foreign aid to Afghanistan, is not the exclusive contributor of foreign aid to Afghanistan. Many other countries participate in the development and humanitarian efforts in Afghanistan. Some of these countries today stated what will happen with that foreign aid. First amongst was Germany, who said that the foreign aid will completely stop being given to Afghanistan as it is under Taliban rule. This year in 2021, Germany pledged to provide 250 million euros of foreign aid to Afghanistan. Afghanistan will not be receiving a single euro cent as of now from Germany. The government of Sweden stated that it is going to slow down. I don't know what slow down means. Reporters don't know what slow down means. It could have been a bad translation from the native language, but that they are going to slow down their foreign aid to Afghanistan. Does this mean stop? Does this mean decrease? That is yet to be seen, and we're definitely going to find out. The most surprising statement regarding foreign aid today was from the United Kingdom, where Foreign Minister Dominic Raab stated that the UK is not going to stop their foreign aid to Afghanistan. It's not going to decrease its foreign aid to Afghanistan. It's not even going to keep it the same, but it's going to increase their foreign aid to Afghanistan. Not just by a little, but by 10%. A 10% increase of foreign aid will be provided to the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. However, Dominic Raab stated that there will be a caveat. That caveat being that this money is going to be exclusively used for developmental and humanitarian purposes. Every other cent that was meant to be used for security purposes, security meaning military, small arms, helicopters, tanks, equipment, pretty much anything that a military needs, will not be financed by UK foreign aid. The reason that I mention foreign aid right after we spoke about the Taliban statements is that this is why the Taliban is attempting to present a more modern, modest, and progressive picture of themselves. The country of Afghanistan is not somewhat reliant on foreign aid. It is absolutely dependent upon foreign aid to maintain itself. The Taliban cannot rule a people that are hungry. The Taliban cannot rule a people that have no houses over their heads. They cannot rule people that have no running electricity, no running water, that have no schooling, that have no professional development. The Taliban need this foreign aid to keep coming in so they can keep working for the interests of the Afghanistani people and for their own interests. They want a stable and calm people, a happy people, to maintain their rule. The final development today, or second to last development today, which is actually probably the most politically important, is the coalition talks between the Taliban and other political actors. The Taliban has been seeking to form a coalition government ruled by the Taliban, led by the Taliban, but with other relevant political actors, primarily former President Hamid Karzai and former, and this is actually his title, former Chief Executive Officer of Afghanistan, Abdullah Abdullah. They intend to, with these two actors amongst other political parties, form a coalition government that will work on the same page to build a better and more modern Afghanistan. These coalition talks were essentially a marathon meeting. Now, usually when a government is elected or a new government is formed in any country, the primary topic of concern is who gets what ministry position. How many ministries does this political party get? How many ministries does this political party get? I want to be this minister. No, I want to be this minister. No, I want that ministry. That's typically how these coalition talks play out in every country. It doesn't matter where you are. However, according to insider information, sources that wanted to remain anonymous, these talks rarely focused on ministry positions. Instead, they focused on the general future of Afghanistan and the general direction that the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan would head into. It seems that the goal of this meeting was to solidify the purpose of the next government, to make sure that everyone is on the same page, and to make sure that everyone's needs are being met, which sounds nice, but is never possible. Nonetheless, the Taliban want to ensure that every single partner that they have in the future government of Afghanistan, at the very least, feels that their vision of their country is being considered and is being worked on. One of the co-founders and major leaders in the Taliban flew from Qatar today to Kandahar, which signifies and shows that these talks are just about finished and that a deal is soon to be made. Which means that in the coming days, we will most likely know of exactly what the future Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan's government is going to look like. Who is it going to consist of, and who are going to be the main actors, and who is going to decide the future of this it's a historical country, but this second emirate of Afghanistan. Hopefully, it's constructive. Hopefully, it's peaceful. I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest fan of the Taliban, but I do hope that whatever government they form or whatever government exists in Afghanistan does help build that country together. No country and no people deserve to live in shambles, deserve to live in poverty, and deserve to live in conflict. I genuinely hope that it does succeed in making its people live a prosperous life. We're definitely going to see what happens. I'm probably going to be reporting on what happens, and I look forward to it just like the Afghanistani people. Now, before I leave you today, I want to report on one last thing. One thing that has been the focus of the international community after a very dramatic events that occurred there in the last 2 days, and that is the Kabul Airport. It seems that the US military more or less has the Kabul Airport under control. There are no more stampedes, there are no more people jumping on planes and unfortunately falling to their deaths. US citizens are not currently being evacuated, but the US Embassy, which is operating outside of the airport of Kabul, so it is an airport embassy, which I like that term. I want to make it clear that I have a trademark on that term and I'm the one who coined it, airport embassy. But the US Embassy, which is operating outside of the Kabul embassy, has told US citizens not to come to the airport. Don't come. Instead, to go online, register, and that they will be contacted by the embassy itself and arrangements will be made to evacuate and deport them out of Afghanistan. Germany has begun to evacuate the last few citizens it has in Afghanistan and the last few troops it has in Afghanistan. This has thus far gone smoothly. There seems to be control of the airport. Now, I do want to end on one note. These reports are unconfirmed, and I don't want to say whether or not they are true. I'm not one to say if this is or isn't true. The reports are unconfirmed. However, some reports have came in that allegedly the Taliban was able to gain access to the civilian section of the Kabul airport today, where there were about 500 civilians, mostly Afghanistani citizens, waiting to be taken out of Afghanistan, to flee Afghanistan. And allegedly, these Taliban soldiers shot warning shots into the air to scare these people away or to potentially cause more chaos at the airport. Is this story true? I can or cannot say, but it has been reported on. That's it for me today. You've heard my opinion. You've heard my reporting. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about your interest. Like this video, dislike this video. I don't really care. What I do care about is that you subscribe to this channel to get more international news on a daily basis. I'm Denis Stanicic. This is the International Daily News Podcast. Have a good day.